All right, everyone, and welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. My name is DFree, and today we're talking about a few different things, so make sure that you lock in with your boy. We have a new season ongoing as well for the creator program, so if you guys were previously supporting, it kicked a bunch of people off, so make sure that you go to my link down below in the description and support. Also, for the Creator M, this is still ongoing. I've still got a few hundred or 400 or so of these codes, and this is what you guys can get. Rune fragments and blessing stones, you're definitely going to want to get that before it's done, literally tomorrow. So hopefully this video is approved in time. But anyway, you're going to want to try to get that ASAP for the new blessing stones and stuff that came out recently. Also 500 essence stones. Do not miss your chance to get that. All right, so moving on from that, I wanted to also just mention down below, like I said, all that's in the description. We're going to talk about the new selectors that are available, what you guys should choose. We're also going to talk about the Shadow Beru, my thoughts on him, etc. So it's going to be a fun video, like I said. So I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe. About 80% of viewers aren't subscribed. So what are you doing? Make sure that you're joining the winning 20% that is. And we're going to go to the selector now, but tell me down below what you guys typically choose from your selectors. And so if you don't really know what I'm talking about, they did put out this new event. This one, no, it's in here. So here it is. That does feature an SSR hunter and weapon. So this is pretty great. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about this is that a lot of these characters are good and a lot of them are pretty bad. However, the caveat to that is that it does depend on what you're trying to accomplish, because some of them are better than others based on the scenario. So that being said, let's start off by talking about just the beginning of the list. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you the characters I love. Rapid fire. We're just going to talk about them one by one all the way down, and then we'll go from there. And for the record, a lot of the same logic I use will apply to the weapon, and then we'll just kind of go from there, of course. So let's start it off. So Chahayan, awesome. She still does a lot of damage. If you've got Thomas, you're probably looking more towards getting Go if you don't have Go, but you do have Thomas, or Min even if you wanted to do that as well. So she's kind of just in a weird spot. You can also run Thomas and her and Go if you wanted to do that. She has some nice utility, which I don't know if any other character has brandeds or unrecoverables. I think she's the only one. So that is really good as well. And again, she's just a big damage character. I just personally don't really use her all too much, despite loving her, because Thomas is just such a nuke, right? So Go. One of the best breakers in the game. Could argue he's the best, I guess, but he also has some great support. And he also has that ultimate, which if you've got access to, I think it's the third dupe. If you've got two and you want to get your third dupe on him, I would recommend doing that. The thing is with all these characters, though, is that they're all like in the standard gotcha. They're kind of easy to get characters. But nonetheless, having a selector giving you the designated choice is better than anything else, pretty much. So yeah, if you have access to getting that, I think third dupe is the one that gives him the almighty break on the ultimate. That actually comes in handy a good bit. So that's what I would consider. But also, if you're going to get any of these characters closer to A5, when they really start going insane with that last dupe, that's something you should consider, whether that's Chai, I already briefly talked about her. But any of the characters, if you have the chance to get them to A5, Min is one of my favorite ones here. A lot of these characters are super good with that last dupe. Speaking of which, Choi, or Shui, is that Che, right? It's been a while since I knew how to pronounce it. So anyway, he's really good with that fifth dupe, because it allows him to just spam his ultimate, which is kind of crazy as a playstyle. I'm still kind of waiting for the fire team to develop a bit more. I don't know. By the time the fire team truly takes off, they'll probably want to getting reworked again. For the record, you can sit on this. You can just claim this and leave it in your inventory, I believe, right? You don't have to claim it. Typically, you don't have to. Silvermane, insane DPS. I absolutely recommend him if you don't have him fully maxed out. Can I see his dupes here? Yeah, so this one right here changes the user skill damage ratio. It doesn't seem like it's all that crazy, but it's a massive boost. Like, he just does so much more damage with that. But again, like I said, all the A5s in these characters are great. I'm not going to spend much time on Beck. I guess now that we're talking about Beck back to back, he's just power crept at this point. I still think he's really valuable for having defense down. I guess I should have said that here, because these are like two of the only hunters that are not Jinwoo that can actually apply that. But typically with a hunter team, I use tank if I'm going to just look for defense down, because the shadows still go out. Woo Jinchul, meta win character. Funny because he got reworked like 5 times. Extra break, extra dashes for his team in Jinwoo. and very useful character overall. Really love all the utility he provides. Just a utility character. Lim, power crept right now. He's one of the only, is he the only? One of the only, I'll say, attack stat based breakers. Is very uncommon, which is, I think, is pretty fun for him. But regardless, not really a character I would pinpoint right now, but he is pretty fun when he goes into, I believe, sniper mode it's called. Pretty fun character. Min. So Min is one of the best supports in the game. Also, the best thing about Min is while we're getting all these like support characters that fit on specific teams, Min remains universal support. So he is really, really valuable with that. And then his last, let me get out of here. His last dupe, it's really, really strong. It just shot me into the codex. Okay. His last dupe is really, really strong. We're going to pull it up here for you guys to see it. So the fifth dupe, when the user uses Heavenly Blessing, increases the damage of the next ultimate skill of the team member with the highest power by 50%. That's crazy, considering he also does the critical hit rate and damage bonuses. And then when he uses the ultimate, he pushes out all that critical hit damage. Like, Min's still crazy as a support character. You can argue whether or not he's maybe been power crept a little bit by the, I think she got reworked, but the new Shimizu girl, I'd still use Min. I actually always liked Libora. I just feel like she never really had like a true established place. Her best thing was she did that debuff. So that's useful, but I wouldn't really choose her now. Water team, kind of not really needed, but still a fun character. Cooldown reduction, breaking, all that stuff. She can do a lot of damage too, or at least last time I used her a couple of months ago she could. Relative to that game, that version of the game, I mean, with Thomas and all these other characters, probably not keeping up with them. So Gina, again, just like the other fire characters, actually Emma is not on this list. That's kind of funny. Anyway, just like the other fire characters, still just kind of waiting for that fire team. I'm pretty sure she'll be a part of it, but she's got some great utility as well. I believe some of it extends outside of the fire team too. HP equal to Gina's attack, restored to all team members, and all team members' power gauges are increased. Yeah, so that's useful. Grants a shield equal to 12%. Damage dealt and damage taken decreases as well. So that's useful there. To all team members again. So she's got some restrictions in here, but not all of it. So if you're looking for another powerful support character, you can grab her. But like I mentioned earlier, I think Min is the one to take out of this list, but it's up to you. Dongsu, I like him. I have a video on using him. Fun character, but not worth grabbing. Han Semi, very strong support character. Her best thing is, in my opinion anyway, is when she's able to prevent her characters from dying. Like, it's insane, dude. Also, this is a really strong passive, just to flat out give everybody extra damage. When the user's HP is 1 or below, grants immunity, or excuse me, immortality for 2 seconds. That's insane. And then when the immortal effect ends, they recover 30% of her HP. Can only be used once during battle. That fifth dupe as well. When the user tags out or uses Vines of Vitality, it grants the natural unity effect to all of their team members, increases their damage and then wind damage, or attack and wind damage as well. So super strong. Also, if you have Amamiya, who's also not on this list, you absolutely want to grab her because she helps with the Amamiya problem with being too squishy, right? All right. So now that we've talked about that, you can also just grab a weapon that fits the character that you grabbed there if you wanted to get a pair going. A lot of the weapons, here's the deal with these weapons. They're all like kind of like, they are kind of what they are, but they just get obviously better as you go on. It's not like Jinwoo's weapons where they're unlocking new passives. These ones just have their predetermined effects and they just get stronger. Like you see, this is only changing the number. It's not changing the duration or the stat count, just the flat number. And then obviously the stats go up. Precision is added as you get duplicates if you had none. And that's mostly what changes here. So really what I would say is I would value the ones that kind of fit the characters the best if you wanted to. Like, for example, Suz is really strong. It's really, really strong. In fact, some characters can get away with not having their weapon. I don't think she is. I think she absolutely has to have it because it's just too strong for what she wants to do. And it spikes her damage too much with the critical hit damage bonus and crit, all that stuff. So that's just stacking up to 20 times with 6%. Pretty awesome just on the weapon, right? And then there are other weapons in here that are going to grant, you know, utility stuff for other characters, like Min, for example. So when he uses Heavenly Blessing, we just talked about how Heavenly Blessing does all that critical hit bonus stuff and all that stuff, pushes it around. The user and their team members' damage dealt increases by 4%. That goes up to 16. I don't even have this maxed. I'm gonna have to max this. That's kind of insane. I didn't know it was that high. 16 for 16 seconds. Absolutely amazing. Goes is also amazing. So when the user uses his skills, it increases the light damage dealt to the target. So that's just going to be another way for your characters like Thomas to do more damage. Like I said, Go, between him and his weapon, has some utility for supporting as well. Cha is just going to do more damage, but I'm not really in on that because I'm moving away from her. Jongin, good one for him too, but again, kind of not really all that relevant right now. Baek Yoonho, not relevant right now at all. I do like this one. It actually increases it a lot, and it makes you peel more life off, I believe. Current HP, but deal. Yeah, it makes you peel more life off, which is actually not a bad thing for Silvermane. So, in fact, that's his entire playstyle. So that's a good weapon. I actually just, with my last selector, grabbed that and pushed him to 5, and that was very useful for me. So, the one here for Jinchul is also a fun one. When the enemy enters the break state, all team members' win damage increases by 4%. That goes up to 12%. So another one it's got a lot of stuff in here, but another one that's got utility for supporting and applying extra damage. So, and then lastly, Hansemi also increases damage taken for the enemies when they're hit by Hansemi by 10%. By 5% for 10 seconds, excuse me, while increasing her HP, which is really useful. Like, all these weapons are extremely good. But I'm personally just grabbing Min's weapon out of this, and that's what I would go for, because I just think it's way too valuable not to do so, in my opinion, because you just have a lot of value there. Way too valuable because you have a lot of value. I just spoke in a circle there. All right. So that's more or less what I am considering doing. If you haven't already chosen what to do, the event's currently gone, but I wanted to briefly talk about the new weapon for Jinwoo, and I mean I'm expecting another new weapon to pop up sometime soon. But once again, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe while I'm waiting for the game here, and support through the link down below in the description so you guys can get those rewards. Awesome. All right, so the new weapon for Jinwoo was the Foxtail, and it's cool that we're kind of in this period where light stuff's coming out. I was really busy, I didn't get the chance to finish it, but I do think this thing is really awesome, and it's one that if you guys have it, maybe you've got dupes, especially if you got all the dupes, you absolutely need to build it. Also because of the fact that, like, there's not a lot of light stuff. Like, Huntsman I like, but it's a little dated. It was a launch weapon. I don't think it's been reworked, has it? I didn't see anything about that. I don't think it's been reworked. I do like the Monkey King staff here. It's pretty great. But yeah, other than that, though, this is a great weapon that I do recommend you guys investing further in. Another thing that kind of popped up recently was Beru. And so I wanted to kind of talk about Beru. I think that I still use Beru a decent bit, but I think he really got screwed over, because in the initial video that they did, they talked about how he looks so cool back there. They talked about how Beru is going to be doing what, attack and critical hit rate. Is that what it said? I think in the stream it said like attack and critical hit rate for the Japanese, or excuse me, Korean stream. That could have been a translation error, but unfortunately when he came to the game, we saw he was critical hit rate and critical hit damage. And so at 5 and 5%, you may be enticed to use him. I've used him a good bit as my Shadow and for the Shadow Authority. Unfortunately, you're just still better off going with low reliable Egress here. Or if you're looking for it, Big Rock. Big Rock is like actually insane. I know that you guys that play a lot know, but it's kind of crazy how insane Big Rock is for just being a game original Shadow. Like it's crazy, because like Blades couldn't even come close to this impact. At first, Blades seemed like he was going to be a good Shadow. He has some fun stuff in here, like what the attack increases and bleeds. The only problem I have with like the attack increase and stuff like that these shadows get is that they're only for themselves typically. You know, it would be nice if they applied it to Jinwoo. That would probably change my perception on some of these guys. But yeah, the reason why you kind of move away from this is because the critical hit damage is worthless. 5% critical hit damage is worthless. Like, it's the same problem we have with Serbi. It's the whole reason why Serbi is not a primary Shadow. And so if you're new to the game, the way that the Shadow Authority works, these are Shadow passives. Only the first Shadow in your party, the one that gets the big, image, and the other two are kind of on the bottom. Only the primary first slot Shadow gets their authority applied. Now, if they did a thing where all the shadows or multiple shadows could get their authorities applied, I think that would greatly impact the way these shadow teams are built. But because that's the case, Egress is a worse version, or excuse me, Beru winds up being a worse version of Egress, because you might as well just go for Egress, because that does matter. 5% is largely worthless. And then from there, the rest of your team, while you're, again, Big Rock 2, depends what you're going for. Tusk, if you have a core attack based team, for the record, those are the 3 ones that are going to be your primaries, and that's pretty much it. You're not using anyone else but, you know, Tusk, Big Rock, and Egress. But here's the fun thing about Beru, and this is where he's useful. So Beru actually has a new debuff. In fact, he might actually have high damage multipliers too. I haven't checked his damage multipliers. It looks like his damage multipliers are pretty good, but I mean, I can't really compare him to Egress, because Egress is doing bleeds and attack increases and stuff. It's not really a fair comparison, because it just looks a little different. So maybe not. You know what's a good comparison is freaking Kaisel. Kaisel does a lot of damage. Like, look at these numbers. 825. My God, Kaisel is a nuke. But where Beru, like I was saying, is good is he's got that new debuff in here. So punishment. I guess it's not new. That's the same one that Min is the only other character that applies that. And Gluttony is here too. Pretty cool too. For the entire team, yeah, effect on the entire team. So 10% of the target's HP is restored. That's kind of crazy. When this shadow, when they use their skill, he does that. It's called My King. Beru is so awesome. So yeah, he's got those 2 things. That's actually really nice. The Gluttony I forget about, but I mainly focus on punishment. So what winds up being the case is, while Beru is not a primary shadow, he's one of the best. He's one of the best secondary shadows. That's what you do with him. You put him on the team regardless, behind someone else. And that, like I said, it's going to be either Big Rock, Egress, or Tusk. Most of the time, it's going to be Egress or Big Rock, not as much Tusk. And the other shadows that are in contention for that last spot are going to be Serby, because he's got the combustion. He's got combustion on like everything, right? He's got it on 3 skills. Yeah. So these 2 skills, and then the one I don't have unlocked, he's got combustion for the elite knight. No, just knight. Okay, that's good. So I could. Oh, that one doesn't have it. Oh, there it is. Elite or general has it. General, excuse me. General has combustion again. So like combustion's super strong. Can it every 3 seconds deals damage equal to 50% of these attack every 3 seconds, increases damage taken. It's punishment with extra damage, basically, right? Because punishment just increases the damage. Speaking of punishment, yeah, but it's longer, I think, here. Speaking of punishment, I wonder if there's, I assume that there is, because he can proc punishment. I assume there's some sort of like light synergy between him and Min, which is low-key kind of disgusting from the devs part. Because Min has some extra effects for when enemies have punishment, right? That's low-key kind of sick. I'm upset with them. So yeah, other than that though, aside from Beru, you're going to want to use Serby because the punishment or the combustion, and then I mean tank for the defense down. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not really hard. It's really hard for the other characters to get defense down applied, but this is where things are a little bit fun, because you're not going to use Egress really as a sub. I mean, you can if you want to, but he's probably going to be a main. You're not going to put him on the other team to get the bleeds and stuff like that, because enemies half the time can't even be bled anyway. I don't think he has a way around that like Silvermane does. And Big Rock does nothing but damage on his skills. He's literally just a passive, and that's it. So don't worry about Big Rock. Tusk has some other stuff. I like using Tusk because he brings his minions in, so that's pretty cool. He's got some attack increase stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't use him. Where the fun stuff is, though, is Kaisel. Like I said, Kaisel is pretty crazy for the simple fact that his modifiers are super freaking high. And he has an attack increase here too. And he does like big AoE hits. That's another thing that we can't really see here. We can't demo or like preview these skills. Some of them do like AoE hits. It is not only him. Like a lot of the shadows are doing different things. Like Tusk has that one attack where he does a freaking like Genki Dama out there, Spear Ball. But yeah, this guy does big damage. So that's where it's a little interesting. But like, I wouldn't really worry too much about the damage piece, because you're still going to peak higher in damage, in my opinion, if you're using a support effect from another shadow. But again, Beru, awesome overall, just having him on your team, but not as your primary shadow, if that wasn't clear. If you wanted to do that, you can. It's just, again, crit hit damage at 5% is worthless. You need to see if that's like if that's 50%, you may have a little bit of a discussion. If it's 150%, then now we're really cooking. You know what I'm saying? That's the way crit damage works. Like crit hit rate can be a low number, but crit hit damage can't be. All right, so now that we've covered that, I guess we've kind of covered mostly everything on our itinerary for today. But what I wanted to do before we get out of here was we've got the new special summons bag, baby. So all I am looking for is Hansemi. They still haven't, I don't believe, updated this at all. Yeah, so Hansemi, actually, was she here last time? I believe so. I believe that she was here, but yeah, we're looking for Hansemi. I don't think I'm looking for any of these other characters, because I got all these characters stacked completely from the custom draw. I am looking for one more Phoenix Soul. I think maybe one Zeke's, but I think Phoenix Soul and Hansemi is what I'm looking for. So if I get both of them in one multi, that is absolutely peak scenario, and I am in a great spot. So hopefully we can have that happen today. But once again, like I said, if you guys are interested in those rewards, make sure that you do support the channel. Linked down below in the description. Let's see what we got. There's Hansemi, of course. I may actually wind up just grabbing that so I can just call it and get that 5th dupe on her. Beck. Oh, Silvermane Beck. So fun thing about Beck is I never pull him. I never pull Beck, you know, I never do it. I've got one dupe in him, and even when I did like so many custom draw pulls, I couldn't pull him. Obviously I didn't have him selected as a primary because I don't recommend anybody doing that. I don't know if he'll ever get reworked. I mean, he probably will. He's probably, I think he already has, but it's just going to be so hard for him to crack the team ahead of like Go. Like it seems impossible. It seems impossible. And then there's so many other characters he'd need to leapfrog. The 2 light supports and then the 2 light DPSs. Like there's just so much. I didn't know what they can do with him. I think he's just kind of screwed. I think he's kind of screwed. So yeah, I never pull him though. So it would be nice to get him for collection purposes. But there was a brief window where it was him, Cha, and Min, and that was a pretty fun team. And I liked using him with Min for, you know, their friendship and stuff. Not that we get to see a whole lot of it, I guess. Speaking of Beck. Okay. I should talk about other things, like, you know, about the fact that I don't pull Phoenix Force with Hansemi. That would be so unfortunate if I did that. You know, that would be kind of crazy because it just doesn't happen. You don't pull your designated weapon and character back to back in the same multi, or not back to back anyway, but just in the same multi in general. It's extremely uncommon to have that happen. And, you know, I think that if that were to happen for me, I'd be pretty happy. And I think that would be a nice, by the way, Happy New Year. I think that'd be a nice late Christmas present, early, or I can't say early, but just New Year present in general. I think that'd be great. And I think now would be a perfect time to do a game. If you happen to be just, you know, eavesdropping or whatever, I think now is the perfect time to, you know, make my dream come true and give me the best. God damn, how long do I have to stall? And give me the best possible result, because this is just, man, hunters are heroes. That's freaking Emma, isn't it? That's Emma, isn't it? God damn it, Emma, leave me alone. Oh, hell no, we're not taking that crap. We're not taking that crap. I actually like Yu Su-hyun too. I like both of those characters. I didn't get to talk about Emma because she wasn't a part of the list earlier, but I like both those characters. I don't like, you needed fire for some story chapters. In fact, you needed fire for like the Beru chapter, technically, but there's no design, like you can use any element in like an encore instance, but that doesn't really count. But there's no like workshop for fire, you know? So kind of tricky. And even if there was, the fire team's not there yet. Like they need another DPS. Actually, maybe, I don't know what element Isel is. I don't know what element she is. Maybe she's gonna wind up being, maybe she looks so cool. Maybe she's fire. I'm not sure. I actually don't know. Post down below if you guys know. I haven't been keeping up with any like data mines, and I haven't read the last couple of blog posts. Been really busy. In fact, I'm sure one came out literally yesterday, right? Let me see if I can pull it up here really quick. Can I pull it up? Is one came out? I could swear one came out. New Year celebration, Jeju Island. Huh. I could have swore one came out, but I guess not. All right, it's cool. Well, we'll see what happens soon. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in, hanging out with your boy. Have fun. Happy New Year. And I will see every single last one of you beautiful people next time. Have an awesome day.